Hello, I'm Stephen Schinder,
And I'm Dan Schinder.
and this is a Yesshift News Desk report for the 1st of April 2022. So here we go, we've got a real exclusive this time, and the world of Yes, as we've found over the weeks and years, is often strange and always surprising, but today's news is so unexpected. It's from a source very close to the band. I can't tell you who that source is, but it is someone you know from this show. So it's breaking exclusive news. Trevor Horn is at it again. Can you believe it? So he's planning, what he's doing is he's planning to continue his project of revisiting Yes albums he was involved with. So the Fly From Here return trip. So he went back and re-recorded his own vocals over the top of Benoit David. So he's doing the same thing, but this time he's gone back to 90125 and he's planning to replace John Anderson's vocals with his own. What do you think?
Well, I mean, what can we say? I mean, this is just out of the blue, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about a record that sold 8 million copies. 8 million copies. So why would you go back and want to touch that? I mean, I personally think that this might be a little bit of ego coming in to play. So there you go.
Yeah, I think it could well be. I mean, I know perhaps you could argue that 90125 isn't a classic Yes album in the same sense as Close to the Edge or something, but who knows what Horn will do after this? Maybe he'll go back even further. And I was thinking maybe he'd go on to drama, but we'll come to that in a minute. So yeah, replacing John Anderson's vocals, I mean, that's heresy, isn't it, in the Yes world?
Absolutely. I mean, this record is so attached to John Anderson, but then many people might say it's very much attached to Trevor Horn. If Trevor Horn wasn't involved with this, would it be the same record?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up to you to consider. But for me personally, I can't imagine this album without his vocals. This is going to be quite a shock, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think that, one of the criticisms of Fly From Here Return Trip was that Trevor Horn's vocals are good. They're fine, they're great. But, some of the high passages, he's never been a fantastic vocalist at those high passages, Trevor Horn. And that's what he found when he was on tour with the band in 1980. That it was the high stuff that he couldn't really match John Anderson's voice with that kind of thing. And I think it's going to be the wrong voice, the wrong timbre, surely, for most of the album, because John Anderson himself came into the making of 90125 later on. The band was already called Cinema, and they were thinking of different vocalists. Maybe, do you think this is what happened, that actually Trevor Horn secretly wanted to be the vocalist for Cinema and therefore for Yes on this album, and so he thinks that this will make a kind of nice trio, a nice triple for so Drama, Fly From Here Return Trip, and then 90125. What do you think?
It's very possible. I mean, it's anything is possible in this world. And of course, Yes being such an iconic band, maybe it would have been simpler in his mind to approach it as it not being Yes in Cinema instead.
Yeah.
That's a mental thing right there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into it. If will he have an easier time singing it with that frame of mind? But still, the music was written the way it was. They had a certain aspect or approach that they wanted with the music, and I believe still that changing this in any way, shape, or form will be just too much for Yes fans to fathom. And I have to say too that the other thing that worries me, I must say, Stephen, is that he has a tendency to add unnecessary effects and other little things and segues. Are we going to have some strange segue between, songs now? Or will we have some swooping sounds, some weird sound effects or backward things now that were not present before? We're talking about Trevor Horn, of course.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, he's, of course, still absolute master of production, so he could do all sorts of things. But something else I was thinking about was he's so close to Jeff Downes that maybe he'll get Jeff Downes to record some extra parts for 90125. I mean, and quite a few of those were Rabin, weren't they? I mean, I'm not sure how much Tony Kaye had to do with those parts on 90125, because again, Tony came in late on in the story, certainly in terms of some of the songs, and maybe a lot of that was Trevor Rabin actually. And of course, didn't Tony leave at one stage and then come back, and all sorts of things happened during the production of this? But what certainly Jeff Downes added a few extra keyboard bits on Fly From Here, Return Trip. So can you see that happening again?
You're blowing my mind, Stephen, with these thoughts. It's absolutely scrambled eggs up there now. So I gotta say that this is not out of his wheelhouse to do something like this, to bring in somebody like Jeff, a longtime collaborator and friend. But will he do it? Is the question. And the other thing too, and I'm almost frightened to say it, that maybe he might even have the gull to play some bass, fretless bass, and replace some of his Chris Squire playing with some nonsensical fretless bass playing. That. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he could well do. I think he enjoys playing the bass. I think he played a bit on Drama, didn't he? So it's certainly not out of the question, is it? Oh, my dog's going to go completely mad in the background. Never mind about that. But we have more important things to talk about.
Yes.
But then what about moving on to Drama? I mean, the world of Yes is so unpredictable and so strange at times. What about Trevor Horn going back to that and doing something, to flip the idea completely? Re-record Drama with Anderson on vocals. What about that? That's a better idea, is it?
This might be something that Yes fans will be more open to, but I just can't imagine it being something that John would want to do. John is a very prideful person, and really enjoys putting in his stamp on stuff. For him to go in and to redo Drama in the same melodic sense, it just won't happen. No. But I can't imagine these songs with any other sort of lyrics. I mean, we don't want any of these crazy fantasy kumbaya lyrics replacing Machine Messiah and stuff like that. It just would not be kosher. So there you go.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, so this is the news then, everyone. 90125 redone with Trevor Horn vocals. So what do you think? Put some comments in the. I'm sure you have been doing. Put some comments in the underneath the video and tell us what you think.
Yes,
all right,
definitely.
I think possibly we should confess now, Mark.
Yes. Yes.
As you probably already know, I'm not Stephen Schinder, and this isn't Dan Schinder. I'm Kevin Mulrine, and this is
Mark Anthony Kaye
from the Yes Music podcast. So we've had the rather good idea of playing a little bit of an April Fool's on both podcasts, and in the future we might do some rather more sensible things with this podcast and the Yes Music podcast, which would be great to get together and put some things together. That would be great. So to finish off this shorter than usual recording, we are going to turn to something which is perhaps more rooted in reality than what we've just been doing, which is...
This wasn't?
Well, you never know. But certainly we didn't get it from a source close to Yes or anything like that. So what we will talk about, though, for a few minutes, is Rick Wakeman, because he's back on tour in the UK with the English Rock Ensemble. And this is something which is very exciting for every Yes fan out there. We love it when Rick Wakeman is back playing live with whatever version of the Yes family, I suppose you could call it, couldn't you? And I was just looking at who it is that's playing with him in the English Rock Ensemble, because it does change quite a bit. Dave Colquhoun on guitars and backing vocals, Adam Faulkner, which is, I have to say, a bit of a new name to me, on drums and percussion, and that's because his longtime drummer is not able to to take part because I think he lives in Portugal or somewhere, and just with all the EU stuff going on and COVID, he can't get over and do it. Lee Pomeroy, who on the Yes Music podcast we've spoken to lots of times, and he's actually appeared on Mark's album with Project Gemini. Haley Sanderson on vocals, and Adam Wakeman on keyboard, guitars, and backing vocals.
Nice.
So what do you think of that lineup, Mark?
I'm over the moon happy about this because, we've been getting a lot of Rick Wakeman lately solo on piano, and which is his instrument of choice, in my opinion. I mean, the man is the finest pianist I think that there is out there, just my opinion. But, him back in this sort of touring era, a touring realm with this band of his, fantastic. I mean, and the people that are on it, the guitar player Dave and Lee were involved with the latest record he did, right? So
yes,
you also have
the Red Planet,
the same people. Yeah, so the Red Planet will be probably played in, or represented very well, I'm sure, on this tour. And I'll just put it like this: I am extremely jealous that I cannot be overseas to see some of these performances. And Rick, please bring it to Canada. Bring the ensemble over.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'd love for them to play something from the Red Planet because I do think it's a great album, really, really good progressive rock from start to finish. Here is the set list though from the Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, England, from not last night? Was it last night? Yes, last night, as we record this today. So he started with Journey to the Centre of the Earth, an abridged version of that. Then there's a 1984 medley, which is interesting to me. I'm not sure. I mean, that's digging into some of the archives there, isn't it? I'm not sure many people outside Rick's fan base would know anything about 1984 as a record. Catherine Parr, that you would expect. Merlin the Magician, absolutely. And then somebody here has put it down as The Rest of Arthur. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. And then the encore, and there is a YouTube video of this performance. They did Starship Trooper as a 15-minute version encore, and it really does sound fantastic. So at the moment, it may change, nothing from Red Planet, but as an aficionado of Rick Wakeman, yourself, Mark, what do you think of that lineup?
It's pretty decent representation of his, overall catalog. Well, okay, the man has like 9 zillion albums to choose from. So really to represent all of it would be a stretch and have to be like a 4-hour concert. But I'm surprised by the inclusion of the 1984 medley, mainly because it's an album that he doesn't mind studio-wise, but he was never satisfied with the way the tour turned out initially when they went out and toured the album proper. It just, and I mean, there's a DVD out there of it. You can buy from that era when they do the 84 tour, the 1984 album tour. And I don't mind the album. And I think that it's nice that he's giving it its airing and, showing some of the popular bits from it. But I mean, Arthur, fantastic. Journey, I mean, that's a classic.
Yeah.
And am I surprised by the Starship Trooper 20-minute version? No, because I mean, there's also other versions of it, when Brian May did a long version with him before. That seems to be like his go-to encore piece if he's going to do a Yes song. I mean, he would have surprised me if he did thank you very much for coming out to the show. We're going to close the night off with a venture. Like, I just can't imagine he's going to do something like that,
No, indeed. Yeah, so it's a decent set list there. Yeah, I just wanted to go back up to that lineup change, the drummer. So his longtime drummer, Tony Fernandez, that you know a lot about as a big fan. Yes, he's the one who couldn't join them. And this Adam Faulkner chap, who is a much younger drummer, he's worked with Adam Wakeman in Headspace in that band,
okay.
and so they obviously know him rather well. And I was also interested in the opening acts. So on certain ones of the shows that they're doing, they've got some opening acts. Russ Ballard. It's not a name I know very well. What do you know about Russ Ballard?
Oh, Russ Ballard. if I'm not mistaken, I think he was an Argent, I think. But the reason why I remember his name so well is because he has a very strong connection to Kiss.
Ah,
He uh, one of
okay.
Ace Frehley's most popular songs, New York Groove, I'm back,
Hmm.
back in the New York Groove. He wrote that, Russ Ballard.
Ah,
All right.
right.
And
Excellent.
God gave rock and roll to you by Kiss. That's also a Russ Ballard song. You
Ah,
know, so there's a lot of
excellent.
connections there.
Yeah. And then I was fascinated to see Carl Palmer's ELP Legacy going to be opening
Ah,
for them tonight as we record this. Alan Reed, again, not a name I know particularly.
mm,
And then Steve Jinsky. So I'd
mm.
have to look into some of those chaps. But yeah, it looks like a fantastic event. So if you're in the UK, do try and get along to that. London, Birmingham, Glasgow, Newcastle. You've missed the London one already, and the Birmingham one's tonight. But Glasgow, Newcastle, and hopefully, yes, he'll be going on to other parts of the world. I know he's doing the O2 Academy. Oh, when was that? 2nd and 3rd of April. Oh, it looks like he's back there for that. And then he's doing this thing called the Rock and Romance Cruise 2023,
Oh,
which
nice.
is not a prog cruise particularly, but it's got people like the Hollies and
Oh
and
boy.
ELO, well, some of the old members of ELO, Jefferson Starship, and the Climax Blues Band. Wow.
Oh boy.
So that's a rather different thing. That he's I presume he's
Yes.
just going to be sitting there with his piano rather than the whole English rock ensemble.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine on what was it called? Rock and Romance
Rock
Cruise, it's
and
called.
Romance Cruise
It's gonna be
2023.
on. It's gonna be one of those like, ladies and gentlemen, let's clear the dance floor for our next foxtrot for everybody out there. I can just imagine it
Yeah.
being something a little bit more laid back. But I mean, look, for Rick, it's a no-brainer. I mean,
Yes.
think about it. You go on a cruise, you get a nice room to stay in, you know, you get food accommodations, everything, you get to travel on the open seas. He doesn't have to bring anything, just gonna be just a piano they're provided for him. And he's
Mm,
gonna get, large money to do pretty much what he does on a daily
what he
basis
does. Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. All right then. Well, we wish him lots of luck, and to Lee Pomeroy as well on the bass. Fantastic bass player, formerly of ARW, of course, playing all those Squire Chris Squire bass lines. Fantastic stuff. So we wish them well, and we wish the listeners and viewers of Yesshift well as well. Do come over and listen to the Yes Music podcast, and hopefully we'll be doing lots more things combined in the coming year or years. So for the moment, thank you very much indeed, Mark, for your contributions.
You're very, very welcome, Kevin.